Hello artists, do you like my new style? Yeah, I'm actually just putting this on my shoulders to separate myself from the background. Camera tricks, but yeah, it's too hot in here to wear a jumper, so forgive me for my peculiar style today. So let's get straight into it. Today I'm going to be looking back and reviewing my absolute trash degree show. That's it, review over, rated trash. But in all seriousness, not every single painting was bad. I graduated in 2018, so now with it being 2021, this year will be 3 years since I graduated from University of the Arts London. So in this video, I'm going to go back, look at the 4 paintings that I did for my degree show. But before we do, there's actually a show called the Interim show, which is what my university did. I think all the UAL colleges probably do it, at least for their fine art or painting courses, where you put on a small exhibition just in the kind of the term before the final degree show exhibition to kind of get people to have a look at your work, critique your ideas, discuss your ideas. And I think my interim show was actually better than my degree show. But let's have a look, and I will analyze my work before and then show you the difference from my degree show to now. So for my interim show, these are the 3 paintings that I painted. You can see that they are very different in terms of style. So for anyone thinking that in your 3rd year of university, you're gonna have a well-defined brand or style, you can throw that out the window, because I was still basically experimenting. You can see clearly that on one hand I'm going for realism, another hand complete and utter painterly abstraction, and then the kind of abstract portrait you could say is somewhere in the middle, where I've got realistic elements versus abstract elements. If any of you have seen my work on Instagram, you will see that these ideas are, well, the kind of style I was going for is what I continued, trying to find this balance between figurative or realistic elements versus the abstraction and painterly textures and stuff. And I wanted to find a perfect sweet spot in the middle where you could abstract certain parts of the painting and then have other bits which were far more realistic. So yeah, that was my interim show. So now moving on to the big moment, which is the degree show. I didn't actually get some amazingly clean photos because I think I was just consciously or subconsciously really disappointed with my work. So even despite having a DSLR camera then, I guess I didn't want to take pictures of my work. So forgive me if the pictures aren't like clean and as nice as some of the other things I've taken in the past. But what an absolute mess. This is the reveal. So I have an absolutely terrible abstract green painting. I have a huge unfinished flat, I don't know, painting that was built up from an abstract digital kind of process. That's how I kind of plan my paintings. I have the digital collage and then copy that, but it just looks flat and unfinished. And then the last 2 paintings are not too shabby. So let's talk about the small one first, which I think is actually the best piece. That would be the clouded one with the orange and the nice contrast, but you can see I'm going for a combination of realistic versus abstract elements, and I think I got it fairly decent in this piece. I would still kind of categorize it more as an experimental piece rather than a finished piece for a degree show, but nevertheless, I do think it is a painting that has some really nice contrast. It has some depth, it has a decent composition. Wow, I couldn't spit that out. But yeah, this is my favorite one from my degree show. Now, as for my second favorite, that is for anyone who has studied a little bit of art history will know that this is inspired by a Caspar David Friedrich piece. I was studying the theme of the sublime for my dissertation and kind of my practice at the time. So Caspar David Friedrich is a very good example if you do wish to look at the theme of the sublime. But I think this one actually has some really nice kind of painterly textures when it comes to the abstraction side of things, and of course my amazing pink and blue combination. But I think one thing that really lets me down is I hadn't really got to grips with really translating my digital plans into paintings, because I feel like it still looks very digital. It looks quite flat. You can see the kind of the tips of the rock, the light blue bits. They look very flat, like a collage, and it doesn't really convince me as whether an abstract scene would be a kind of a believable scene, but it doesn't convince me as a painting. Speaking of unconvincing, let's move on to my third, I guess this is going into my two least favorite now, which is the large kind of abstract bird flower pot thing that I did. Okay, the colors are all right, but it's just like, it looks so unfinished. It looks like just the first layer was done and then kind of oh yeah, let's just do that. Let's just hang that on the wall. It's just another digital collage that really did not translate well into a painting. I was not good at translating those digital pieces into paintings. And on top of that, I had run out of time. You can see so many areas of the painting are just undeveloped, flat, lack detail, lack texture, lack any sort of tone that would indicate, form and something interesting to look at. Because I know what I was going for back then, and I'm far more successful at doing it now. So when I look back, it's just like, and finally the green little gremlin. I don't know why. I should have just put the orange one from the Interim. It was a much nicer abstract piece. This is kind of just like a replica of that, except for some reason I decided to use the most plastic green I could find amongst my oil paints, and yeah, that's the result. A tacky white. Who would combine in this, like, I don't know, very saturated manner, black, white, gray and green? It's just, for me, looking at it now, it's such a horrible color combination, and it really does not work in this abstract piece. But I don't know, maybe a couple of the textures are okay in terms of looking at it from an abstract textural point of view, but it just doesn't sit well with my other work either. And I feel like, to be honest, all four pieces, possibly the clouds and the Caspar David Friedrich, they kind of go together, but God knows where the green one and that kind of bird flower pot one, where they sit kind of within those four pieces. They're not coherent with each other. So yeah, that's my inner disappointment and cringe when I think back to what I presented for the end of my 3 years of university at University of the Arts London. But like with all my other videos, I always want to have some kind of positivity or learning element when it comes to kind of looking back and criticizing something or thinking that you're in a bad spot at some point or the other. So let's look at where this style has led to now. Let's have a closer look at this painting behind me, I guess, and also another one. So here's a couple of abstract figurative paintings I'm working on at the moment. And I'm actually starting to feel confident and even a little bit impressed by the imagery that I'm managing to create now. You can still see that I'm making, mixing abstraction with more realistic elements. But one thing I'm much better at doing now, first of all, is planning my pieces in Photoshop. I've just got better program-wise, digitally on the computer. I'm understanding how to create more depth by controlling tones, adding shadows where it's needed, and not being impatient with my painting. This is a very important thing. I also have better control over the oil paint, the material itself, because of the amount of hours that I've just put into using it. I have a better understanding of mediums and how to create certain effects. So if you'd like to see more of my work, please do follow me on Instagram. I hope this video has been somewhat useful to those who feel like maybe that they're not developing, or sometimes maybe, I don't know, we can be a bit negative about our work, but it's okay. It's okay to criticize yourself, because in a couple years, just like me, when you look back, you'll be like, wow, I was bad. And if you put the hours in, you put the work in, you can say, I am so much better now. At least I hope you guys think I'm better. I hope I've explained the reasons why my degree show was bad, and I hope you agree with me. Otherwise, I guess at the end of the day, art is all subjective. So maybe some of you might think my degree show is better than the stuff I'm doing now. I do hope not. I do hope you have seen some kind of development. But it'll be funny, you know what, put it in the comments whether you think my present work is better or my degree show work is better. I'll have a laugh seeing if there's an actual difference in opinion. So yeah, pop your comments below or drop me a DM on Instagram. I hope this video has been useful, and here is my awkward, I need to cough. Goodbye.